but I'm 38 and I can. 7 months, I was out of depression. All the illnesses gone, totally disappeared. From not being able to walk from the living room to the bathroom, I ended up climbing a mountain in Capri by myself. Everything was just poofed out in 7 months. It was absolutely amazing.
Welcome to the Poison Honey Podcast, where we discuss the bitter truths of life with raw vulnerability, honesty, and a dash of humor. I am your host, Manarak of Gray, and before we continue, I have a very quick announcement for you. I am in the process of revamping my podcast for season 3. So this includes giving it its own channel. So for the coming months, I will be re-releasing season 1 and 2. Season 1 is unfortunately only available in audio. I'm sorry, but the rest will be in video content, so stick around to see the evolution. Today's conversation explores an unconventional path to healing and the possibility of complete freedom from depression. Let's begin. Today, I'm speaking with Anna Lenor. Anna is an anti-depression specialist who transformed her own journey through depression into a mission to helping others find freedom from their pain. Through her unconventional approach, she's helping people achieve in months what traditionally takes years. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Manarak. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast of telling stories about how we found ourselves.
Yes. Very excited to have you, as I was saying before. So, Anna, what is your story of a vulnerability that you want to share with us today?
So, as many of us have noticed, we have different stories, but theoretically, we went through the same suffering, right? So it's exactly like in your book, The Tell of Her. And if you guys didn't read the book, you should go and read the book. Okay, it's an amazing book. Because we have different stories, but the suffering we encounter is quite the same. And this is what's extraordinary about these stories, because when you hear more and more of them, you realize like, oh, so I am not so different, that I'm not so cuckoo, that I'm not so crazy, right? It actually repeats at different people, maybe a different pattern, right? Maybe a different story, but the suffering that we feel is the same.
Yes.
So the story of vulnerability that I want to share with you is a story of a child who was depressed since the age of 7 and who suffered from all kind of medical conditions since young age. That includes S-shaped scoliosis and headaches and insomnias and all kind of problems. Until about the age of 19, I kind of lost it. And I took 41 sleeping pills to kill myself because I couldn't sleep for over 2.5 years. And all I wanted to do is sleep.
Yes.
You know, I had those headaches that were like, I had the impression that my head is cracking, right? So after that, I went to University of Psychology to study psychology because I realized that there is some things that I need to fix. Hello?
Yes.
I have some problems. And one of my problems that I had was trying to save my mom, who was an alcoholic.
Right.
She was an extremely famous teacher. She was an alcoholic. And because of these two things in the same time, I felt a lot of shame in my own town that, you know, my mom, such a famous teacher, is actually an alcoholic, right? Mm-hmm. So this, you know, because of this, I went to university to try to save us both, right? My mom was my life, just to save us both. Right. To find out very soon that I joke today, I tell people it's like I entered university as a chicken and I exited as a cow. There was a lot of book in my belly, but there was no skills. There were no strategies. There was nothing to help me or my mom. So at that time, I decided not to pursue a profession because I said, okay, so what am I going to do? My next client, he or she's going to talk about how they want to jump off a bridge, and I'm going to tell them, me too. I'm that bridge.
Yes.
I'm like, baby, that's not a great idea to
No.
So I decided not to pursue a profession, right? So you embark in life like a warrior, like to keep on going, but always with a thought in the back of my head, save mom, save mom, save mom, because I always thought that if I save her, I'm also safe.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Because she was number one. Well, save mom ended up to end overnight when she died overnight at the age of 55 from a liver condition.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this, boom. I couldn't even go to her funeral because I was planning to kill myself at her funeral.
Wow.
So all the pain that I felt, it like doubled down on me, on my shoulders. It was like an entire mountain that just crashed because I failed in my mission to save mom.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, I decided to have a kid a few years after, and to get married and to get divorced. And what a surprise, depressed people always get divorced once or twice easily, right? Mm-hmm. And at the age of 38, I was carrying on my shoulders a lot of problems, like 2 hernias of disc, fibromyalgia, pre-diabetes. Okay, so at the age of 38, I was like a mountain of pain. I was like the queen of pain.
Right. Yes.
Queen of pain, right? Holding on to all this, including physical problems that manifested because the depression was nothing that we were able to solve until then. Mm-hmm. But what put the cherry on top was that I was diagnosed with the same disease my mom died from.
Wow.
My mom died at 55. I was diagnosed at 38. My kid was only 8 years old, which meant that I can die overnight, but I wasn't even drinking.
That's the question that came to mind. Yes, because
I wasn't even drinking, right? So when you are having an alcoholic parent, as an adult child of alcoholic, you think that the best thing in the world, you really think that you won the lottery if you're not drinking.
Right.
Right? I mean, I won the lottery. I'm not drinking. I accomplished so much. And then you end up is like, no, it doesn't matter. You're still going to die overnight. I'm like, and my kid?
Yes, of course.
It's when I realized that it was not actually the alcohol. It was way deeper at the level of depression that attacked both our livers and destroyed her. And when I realized that, maybe she couldn't hold on for a couple more months because she was already 55 and older, mm-hmm. but I'm 38 and I can. 7 months, I was out of depression. All the illnesses gone, totally disappeared. From not being able to walk from the living room to the bathroom, I ended up climbing a mountain in Capri by myself. Everything was just poofed out in 7 months. It was absolutely amazing.
That sounds amazing. I mean, that's quite a difference, right? From being like almost bedridden, I guess, and with these illnesses, several illnesses, and now you're climbing a mountain. Like that's amazing. How do you get to the point?
Exactly, right. So it took 7 months of work. The way I accomplished this was by, I knew psychology is not going to be, not going to solve anything, right? So the way I accomplished this is by asking 2 categories of people that they haven't ever been depressed in their lifetimes, in their generations, how to get out of depression. Mm-hmm. And I'm Christian Orthodox myself. The 2 categories of people that I have asked how to overcome depression were Shaolin monks and Himalayan yogi masters.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I realized that Christian people have always been depressed. It's not something
Yes. as someone that I was brought up Catholic, Roman Catholic, I always make jokes about the Catholic guilt, right? You're always guilty of something. Sometimes you have no control over even, and it causes depression. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So if you look at it, therapists are depressed, doctors are depressed, right? Many categories of people are depressed. And when I went through a whole list of people who are not depressed, it took me a while to figure it out who has never been depressed for generations.
Yes.
So, the truth is that at some point you go back to your life and you ask yourself, but what all this trouble? Why all this pain happened to me? Right? Why did I was just wired to not be able to smile in a picture since the age of 7, or to bear so much pain on my shoulders, or to have my mom like this, or to even have my child slip in depression? Thank God I turned him around really quick, right? Why did this all happen to me? Why, why God gave this all to me, if you believe in God, right? Or the universe. It's like, what did I do wrong?
Yes. The guilt. Yeah.
And that guilt. And I realized that I was asking the wrong question.
Okay.
So with everything that I know today that doesn't work to overcome depression for teenagers and adults, and with everything that I know today what works to overcome depression for teenagers and adults, I became an antidepressant expert within the last 2 years. I became a relationship and parenting mentor. I save teenagers from depression, from being angry, suicidal, disrespectful in days. I save marriages in a week to 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
And people succeed to overcome depression with our guidance in less than 6 months.
I can say I completely believe you just from the conversation that we had before the recording, because you know how the mood I was in when we started talking, and then within a few minutes I was like, yeah, that's right. There's a way to change that around. But just say for the audience, can you give an example of how the practices that you put in to overcome this?
So what we don't understand about suffering and pain is that it is not normal. Just because we saw it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, it is not normal. Pain and suffering is not love. Pain and suffering stops you from loving and being loved. It's like a wall between you and the person next to you. You can't fully open up because you're afraid of betrayal, abandonment, all kind of things, right? And the same with them. They can't fully open up because they are afraid of something. So then you're just building walls between you and the person next to you. And no wonder at some point you slip in this depression thing, but everybody thinks that it's a kind of mental condition when it's actually a very deep emotional condition.
Yes.
Where you need love, you need to be loved, you need to be appreciated, you need to be respected, you need assurance that, you are fine by yourself and the people around you are fine by themselves, and together you're fine. But because we've never been taught this emotional balance, right? You look for crutches all the time. And just to give you an example, the most fashionable crutch today is go to a therapist.
Yes.
Where you only complain, but you're not learning anything, right? And then you start with a therapist, and then you end up in a narcissistic abuse. That's another crutch that promises you that you're going to be fine. Then you end up in a verbally abusive relationship. That's another crutch that promises, I'm going to be perfect for you, right? So you end up in breaking legs nonstop just because you didn't have relationship skills, emotional skills to start with. And sometimes this starts at the puberty years. Sometimes this starts exactly when you're very, very young.
Yes.
My youngest customer was 6 years old.
Wow.
6 years old. So in December of last year, in 2021, I was on stage with very rich people and successful people. J.T. Fox, Jesse Cole, they call him the Savannah Banana guy. It's always in yellow. And Julian Michaels, the fitness guru, right? Talking about people challenges and the suicide rates going up all the time. 1 million people a year minimum.
Wow, that's a lot.
Exactly. And it's increasing, right? And I got off a stage and an uncle of a 6-year-old approached me and said, listen, my sister has a problem. You need to come see her. I'm like, I don't do house calls. No. I'll pay whatever you need to come see her. We have a problem with a 6-year-old. I'm like, what problem can you have with a 6-year-old?
Yes.
The 6-year-old was talking about dying since the age of 4. Only reason why the 6-year-old was not committing suicide because he didn't know how.
Yeah. Luckily that they didn't know.
And he was homeschooled and he didn't learn how from his school peers. Okay, so
yeah.
we got okay. So this is how deep this can get these days. This generation is not waiting for 40 years like I did to go to a healing journey, okay, to get out of depression. They get accelerated pain and they need accelerated results. Not to mention that a 6-year-old child is easy to fix in 3 weeks. Well, a 16-year-old takes a little bit more than 3 months because they're resistant, right?
Yes.
To what you're trying to teach them. So just to give you an example, this is not going to go anywhere, right? This depression, anxiety, all these divorces that you hear of, and the ones that you don't hear of, trust me, I have clients that they're like ready to divorce in a week.
Yes.
They call me, I'll give you 1 week before I file for divorce. I'm like, I need 3 days.
Yes.
Okay, to tell you what to do. If you do it, you're done, right? So these kind of things, family relationships, is the base of not only your mental health, is the base of not being able to be productive at work. When you're wondering why I don't have a job of my dreams, what I didn't find, my dream job, my purpose in life. Well, it cannot because you're into suffering mode.
Yes.
Okay. And you cannot expand. It's like, you're like a bird with the wings like this straight out, suffering, being afraid of everything, and you can't fly.
Yeah. Like in a cage of pain.
Exactly. And in your own cage of pain, right? Because once you took it from somebody else, like I took it from my mom, for example, it was my own pain. I felt it as my own.
Right.
Now I had to fix it. Right. So these kind of things, a lot of people don't understand how could be extraordinarily traumatic for the children you're raising, okay? For the partner, for the boss that doesn't want people depressed and anxious in his business. He wants the job done.
Yes.
He's got to pay bills for his business. Right? So we don't understand, and we live in a society where it's okay, I'm going to take medicine forever. I'm going to go to therapy forever, and I'm never going to fix it because guess what?
It's normal. Yeah, I mean,
normal to suffer.
To be honest, as you're talking, I recognize myself in almost all of these layers. So I'm like, oh my God.
That's what I said, guys, if you read the book, The Tale of Her, you will see different words, maybe, okay, of expression. You will see, maybe a different story, but the pain is the same.
Pain is the same, yes, definitely.
And guess what? It can be fixed the same. We're using the same strategies to fix the pain for everybody. Because this is one of the misconceptions people have. But my story is different, but I am different. I'm like, no, you cannot be different.
Yeah.
There are 5 levels of pain. First of all is rejection. The second of all is abandonment. The third one is humiliation or embarrassment. The fourth is betrayal. And the fifth one is, we call it perfectionism or injustice. Injustice, we call it for, categories of people like the American Indians or the African Americans who have been injusted in the world, right?
Yes.
And perfectionist, we call it for people who think that this is the only way out. This is the only way to get out of this and do that. And it's exactly off road. It's your answer. Okay. It's not like a horse, like going straight up, right? That goes like off road. Yeah. So these are only 5 levels of pain that everybody feels. And when you feel 3 or more, you end up in depression. When you have all 5, you're already at suicidal level and you can't listen and you cannot hear.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look through every story, you can identify minimum of 3 out of 5 of these. The pain is the same we all feel.
I cannot disagree with that. I mean, as I said, I'm like
just story is different.
guilty. I even experienced some years ago a friend of mine who unfortunately did commit suicide. And it was at this point where you're saying that they weren't listening anymore, as much as we tried to tell them, your life is worth living. You as a human being, you are worth it to be on this planet with us. It wasn't enough, and yeah, it's really heartbreaking to have experienced these.
For teenagers who are going through this, sometimes I do make house calls. Okay. It was not the 6-year-old that I mentioned, but we couldn't talk like this with him. But with 14, 16-year-olds that we have sometimes, and we have to go, in person and talk to them. I ask them a couple of questions. And one of the questions that I ask them is like, do you want to get rid of this pain in your heart? And the answer is yes. Right? Because that's why they want to commit suicide. Because they want to get rid of a pain in their heart.
Yeah, you want to.
Okay.
Or like you want it.
And I ask them is like, can you give me a couple of months to show you how to do it? Can you not kill yourself for a couple of months until I show you? This question shocks them. It's like, what do you mean? I can get rid of it without dying? I'm like, yes. But are you sure you want to? And they're like, yes. Are you sure you want to? They're like, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So when we saw that, most people don't even know that this pain is removable. It's absolutely removable.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think that they have to live with it. They don't have another choice.
Right. And do you have some people that are also, just talking from my own perspective again, do you have people that are perhaps also comfortable with this pain? Because sometimes I feel like I get really comfortable in my pain, and someone like you comes along and tells me, well, you can remove this pain. And of course, there's a part of me that wants that. But there's another part of me that then wonders, who am I without this pain? Yeah.
So that's the fear of living. It's not the fear of dying or fear of pain. It's the fear of living, right? Mm-hmm. For these kind of people that are not ready, okay, to go through a journey of letting go of pain because they consider pain as their identity. This is why these kids depressed come up into the world, to wake them up. Yeah. Because the pain is not going to end with you. The pain is going to be felt by the last one in line. So now, for the 6-year-old, for example, we immediately discovered that the mother is the one depressed too. And by accident, poor woman, she gave her depression to the child without wanting, of course, because she was a mother. So all we had to do is start working with her, and we already started to see results. But she was asking me, like, but why this happens to my child? This happens because you ignored it.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't have a child, you would have ignored it. Because you don't even think it's possible, right? So it's always an answer. The universe has to expand. It cannot expand in pain and suffering. The universe doesn't care about one life or 1 million. We're 7 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
If you don't want to expand with me, oh well, that's totally fine. If you don't want to change directions, especially now when this generation is asking for faster, better, more efficient 3 clicks, or I quit if it's more than 3 clicks,
Yeah.
well, you better get it faster. Right? So the universe cannot expand in pain and suffering, can only expand in love and growth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, these kids are teaching us every day, that what we did not solve needs to be solved. Otherwise, we'll lose our kids.
Makes sense. It's a lot of food for thought, what you're saying now. So, throughout the years or just with your experience and your background, how has this knowledge changed the way you see yourself?
So the way I see myself now, it was super funny because, I have pictures on my website with millionaires and a billionaire on the stage, right? I mean, you do realize that I'm a suicidal girl from Eastern Europe, right? Like, wow, yeah. How did I get here? How exactly did I get here, right? More than that, we do, to talk about suicides and, challenges with people that are, very rich and they don't really care. Okay, this is the truth, right?
Yes.
Because this is how it is, right? But they did care when, I got off the stage and that 6-year-old needed help, right? So, it is amazing how much you can grow and how much you can expand when you let the pain go. It's like I have accomplished in the last years more than 3 generations of my family has accomplished. This is what it holds us down. Every time when you feel stuck about something, every time when you feel, but what's my purpose in life? But what's, why I was born and stuff like that. It only means there is more pain to be shed, to be let go of, to find out that you are an amazing person. And you were from the beginning. You just never knew it because you were so covered by pain that you didn't even dare to look into your own heart. Right? So this is what holds people down in everything, in their job, in their money, in their finding relationships, in having great, amazing, families. This is what holds people down, pain. And as soon as they're ready to take that step, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship course, if you're single or divorced and you just want to have a perfect partner. It doesn't matter if it's a parenting course when you just don't want your kid to bridge the difference between you and them, right? You want to be together, not to love a therapist more than he loves you.
Yes.
Right? So it doesn't matter at which level you attack this, right? The moment when you let pain go or you understand the other person's pain and you can help them let it go, usually you can do that with children and not with parents, that moment everything changes. It's like you are growing wings. And it's absolutely amazing how it's like an accelerated growth.
Yes.
It's like from a train that you've been pushing, so hard in pain, you just got on the high-speed train.
Yes, the express.
By itself, don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So this is how the difference is. Right.
And for someone maybe listening right now and maybe also recognizing themselves or someone in their environment, do you have any tips for them to get started? Because you mentioned a bit about therapy wasn't...
Therapy is the fashion these days, right? So we have some clients that come to us like, my therapist told me that. I'm like, your therapist told you the wrong thing. She didn't teach you any skills.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Skills is what helps you master the game of life. With no skills, you can only master the game of suffering. Right? So this is what I teach. The first thing I teach is skills, relationship skills, emotional skills, mindset skills. And I'm talking more about recognizing mindset traps because there are about 17 mind traps that keeps us in suffering, right? So all of these things we teach, and we have free courses on our website. We have free workshops, free online classes. And for people who are, how should I say, for people not to make mistakes, we have actually opened a specific service called Better Ask Anna with 1n.com, where you can text me directly your question with your name and email, and we'll send you a 5 minutes video, 3 to 5 minutes video or audio with the actual answer. So you will not make mistakes. And all of this is for free, right? Because we saw so many people rushing into sending their kids to therapy and waiting for results, into divorcing when their marriages could have been fixed, into deciding to be single for the rest of their life because they didn't know how not to be betrayed and find a perfect partner. We saw so many mistakes happen that it's better to ask a question, especially because it's for free, okay, than to make a mistake in life that puts you in depression.
And I was wondering, do you think that all marriages can be saved, or?
No, not all marriages can be saved. But you see, if you and your spouse agrees to separate in good terms, imagine how much time, money, and annoyance you can save. Most marriages that are divorcing in bad conditions, and we take them usually here in the US between 1 to 2 years to divorce, and big scandals and stuff like that with kids and stuff like that, right? Well, depending on what age, if you are over the age of 45, you end up having a heart attack within 1 year after.
Yes, it's very
because of the strain that this stress puts on you. But what if you understand your spouse and said, okay, now we're in agreement. We clearly know this is you, this is me, okay? But we get along enough to decide to go on separate roads. And then all this annoyance, stress, money, time, medical condition, you can erase. Plus, now that you separate in good terms, you have a hope that, listen, I might still find a perfect partner. Now I don't have to wait 5 to 10 years to heal from heartbreak.
Yes.
Right? So these kind of things has nothing to do with staying together or not. Has to do with resolving the problem there to save you time, money, annoyance, health problems, and blame from the kids. Because in these kind of divorces, sooner or later, you're going to hear the kids blaming one or another parent easily.
Yeah. That happens a lot.
Or one parent and being angry at another, or things like that. And you don't want that. You did your best to raise kids, man. You don't want them to blame you.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay,
really interesting. Yes, and you mentioned earlier about the mindset, the 17 mindset
traps.
Can you give us a few examples of this?
So the most used ones, there are 2 of them that I use all the time, and I call them I can't. When you hear this, and so it's a teenage years, I can't, right? So this is no. When you say no to everything, this is number 1 mind trap that keeps people into expanding. Because this is the truth. If you think about your life, right, and your listeners' life, if they think back into their life, everything that happened good in your life is because you said yes, not because you said no. Right? Yes. But we're so prone to that negativity of no. And when you say no, the brain shuts down. The brain shuts down. It's not looking for solution. It's just no. Right? So the way to break this is usually by having, either a parent, if you're a teenager, or having an accountability partner to ask you, you want to or you don't want to? Because you clearly can.
Yeah.
And we say, no, I can't. Well, listen, people did before you. That means you can. And if they didn't do it before you, you're the first one. So it still means you can. So you want to do it or you don't want to do it. Okay. And then their mind starts thinking, oh, I want to do it or I don't want to do it. You don't want to do it? Fine. Why don't you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want to do it, how are we going to do it? Right. So now the mind thinks, oh, you can do it like this, like this, like this, like this, comes with solutions. Right.
Yes.
The second mind trap is the excuse land. Okay. I can, but. And here coming and pouring all the excuses in the world. Okay. Here we cut the word but because we don't like it. Okay. We don't talk about this in public.
No, but it's
yeah. So here, yes, you can. Yes, I got you. So forget about the excuses. And what I'd like to tell people, excuses are only lies you tell to yourself. Excuses are only lies you tell to yourself. You don't tell it to me. I know that's an excuse. You tell it to yourself. So every excuse you have, put it on paper, cross it down, big lie, and now you do what you need to do. Be done and over with. Right? Yeah. These two mind traps keeps us down from teenage years all the way until we die.
Again, very recognizable. I feel so called out.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
I think some of your listeners did.
No, but it makes sense. As you're saying it does make a lot of sense that this creates blockades because, as soon as I say, I don't know, I want to be a dancer, but if I say I can't dance, which is one of the lies I used to tell myself.
People in wheelchair dance.
For example.
So here is, you try to come with arguments to tell people it's possible. People did it before. Okay. So if you never did it, you're the first one. Isn't that amazing? Right? These kind of things, they accelerate and they keep going and going and going. And we're living in traps built by ourselves. And a lot of times you need an accountability partner. A lot of times you need a parent. A lot of times you need a coach like me. No BS coach. Exactly what they call me. No BS coach. Right? Where I tell them, okay, you're done with the excuses. Now just do what I ask you to.
Yes.
Okay. And they're like, what? I was like, listen, somebody's got to wake you up. Just do it and be done with it. Right? So things like this sometimes that, you're asking for people to listen to you and understand you. Quacking and complaining never solve the problem. I tell people the reason why therapy doesn't work is because we're 7 billion people on this planet. We can all talk to 3-4 people. That's not going to solve our problems. Doing will. Mm-hmm. Learn some skills. Learn how to talk. And being understood, I know you. It's only 5 levels of pain. You can't have more. Nobody has more than 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is get some skills under your belt to solve your problems. Stop waiting for somebody to solve it for you. They're going to hurt you more because you're just going to lean on them like a crutch. And when they're gone, what you going to do?
Yeah. You're left with still the same pain, I'm assuming. Because that it has to be from the inside that you want to get rid of it.
Exactly. A lot of people come to me, it's like, but I want to be protected, but I want to be supported, but I want to be... First, do it yourself.
Yes.
Because you're going to keep encountering broken people that are going to promise you that. You're going to believe them, and deep down, they're going to hurt you. So first, do it yourself. And then you're going to find the right partner for you. And maybe you don't want a crutch in your life. Because now women can have jobs too.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to be the Amazonic woman doing it all and breaking down, like I did at the age of 38. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you have to do that, right? You need to find your balance. But you don't expect others to support you emotionally. That's the biggest mistake people do. They're always waiting for some kind of partner, or even sometimes to have a child to save them.
And how does one support themselves emotionally?
There's skills that we're teaching people. Some of them are deeper skills, like you mentioned, guilt, shame. Okay, these are deeper skills and deeper healing. But the easiest ones to understand is usually anger, worry, and fear, which turns into anxiety. So many people have deep anger. They're not showing it. They don't like to talk about it. They don't express it, right? And they don't like, oh, no, I'm not angry. Yes, you are. Deep down, all of us are angry, right? So here we're teaching them, and you can see it very easily in teenagers, specifically girls, teenagers, that either are very angry and fighty, right? Or they are having social anxiety, which is another side of anger, right? So what we teach people is how to deal with this particular anger. Can you fix the situation, or you cannot fix the situation? And depending on the answer, you go fix it or you go drop it.
Right.
Right. So the instance that we talked before the show with you, you cannot fix a situation, we get dropped.
Yeah.
Right. The second thing is worry. No amount of worry has ever solved the problem. Exactly like no amount of talking has ever solved the problem.
This is so true. I remember I used to listen to Manly P. Hall. I don't know if you know his teachings. He said something about this, like worrying is only a means to further complicate the problem.
Exactly. So now we're teaching people, you have to make a decision in 30 seconds. And they're like, oh my God, 30 seconds. What if I make the wrong decision? No problem. You have time to fix it. There is nothing 30 seconds after that. But if you wait for 30 years, you do not have time to fix it.
No.
Okay. So we're teaching people to make a decision in 30 seconds. And when they can't sleep at night, okay, because they are, worried about what next, okay, I put them to write on a piece of paper, okay, everything they need to do next day for the mind to catch up that, oh, it's tomorrow morning I can do any of these things. I'm not going to call it midnight, my doctor and my boss, and nothing like this is in the groceries. It's not going to happen at midnight, okay? So for the mind to understand that, okay, tomorrow this is the list. First thing in the morning, I take the list and I start it. But now I'm going to sleep because there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And the anxiety part, the fear part, your answer to what you need to do in life is at the other side of fear. Everything that you're afraid of, you have to do it. You will find out everything you want and you need in life at the other side of fear. And you have to do it 3 times.
Okay, why 3 times?
Because when you do it once, you're usually running away. Second doesn't, it's like you're still running away. Okay? You have to do it at a minimum of 3 times to make sure that now, if I'm ever afraid of this, there's no reason I just did it 3 times, man.
Yes.
Okay. So it was not once, it was not twice. For the mind to catch up with the idea that, it's possible. So one of the things that I was afraid of, because I have so many back problems, right? And broken bones in my back. They don't hurt anymore, but they're still broken.
Yes.
Was ziplining, right? I was afraid of just falling. Very simple, right?
Yeah.
So and we went ziplining to like 4 or 5 courses, and big ones, not little tiny beady ones. And I have to be honest, I have asked the guys there that were attendants, like, you have to push me. There is no way in hell that I can jump into nothing.
Yes.
If this wire is going to hold me, you need to push me. Okay. They did push me, I think 3 or 4 times, and the 5th times I was the first one jumping. They were all so proud of me.
You were ready.
I was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm the first one jumping. I'm like, I don't know, it was so amazing. right? So this is what we're afraid of things, and we have a lot of teenagers who are afraid of their social. They have social anxiety.
Yes.
And I tell people the first thing they need to learn is relationships. They need to know how the other people around them think and what they want. Then they won't be afraid of being out there in the open with other kids.
Do you have perhaps, as we're talking about this, my mind went to, but how can we make sure that people have these skills or are developing these skills already from a younger age? Is this something that we can perhaps introduce into education system, or perhaps a new way of parenting? What is your thoughts on this?
So we have classes. We have free classes where we explain all this to parents. We have courses, usually courses of 3 to 4 hours. You take a 4-hour course, you know how the relationships work for the rest of your life. Be done with it, right? It's not very complicated. Nevertheless, most people don't know that there are 4 types of men and 4 types of women in the world. Guess what? Your kid is only one of the 4. Okay. Your husband can only change into one of the 4 types of men. He cannot be the 5th one. He's not an alien. So it might have started with your husband being 1, but it can only change into one of the other 3. It cannot change into anything else. All right. So people change during their lifetime into these 4 types of possibilities where they have different values. They change the way of thinking and stuff like that, but can only change within 4 pillars.
Yes.
Right. So we're teaching these 4 pillars and how you get the kids in the right direction, because a lot of times they want to skip. They want to take the shortcut. They end up depressed and anxious. And then you wonder why.
Yeah.
Right. So we teach everybody how to take the right direction. And when they see that their husband is in the wrong, or their wife or their spouse is in the wrong part, what does that mean and how to transform it all? It's usually a 7-step transformation for any teenager or any couple. It's just a 7-step transformation. It's super easy. Yeah, it should be introduced in schools. You're right.
Yes. How do we get that?
How do you get that? Right now, I'm teaching some of these courses for free. Okay, you have it all. Better ask Anna with oneN.com. There is a tremendous amount of resources for free that we have there for you, including for depression courses, classes, asking me a question before you make mistakes in life. Please don't make mistakes in life and don't make rash decisions. Okay, before you get all the answers and you don't know what's going to happen after, right? Because everybody thinks like, oh, I'm going to divorce and I'm going to be fine. And then they come to me, oh, I'm divorced and I'm depressed.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you were not any better, right? So right now I'm teaching these things. I do not know when they're going to be introduced. School does a lot of stuff that doesn't work. You have to admit that. Okay. And this is one of the things why kids don't like school is like, how is this going to help me in life?
Yes.
You better teach them relationship, emotional balance, so it will help them in life.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have this wishful thinking that one day this will be in school.
You see, this is an accelerated generation. You never know when they're just turning around and said, BS with all this thing. Yeah. Because this is what, the parents come to me and ask me, it's like, but I don't know why my kid is not appreciating what I do for them and what I buy them. I'm like, that's not what they want. No. They want a life easier. They want to be happy. They want to have a better life. Just teach them these skills. But I don't know them myself. Well, let's learn it together then. Okay, let me teach you these skills and then teach them. We had a 7-year-old, her name was Angela, and she was in depression during her divorce. Right? She was into one of these divorces forever, about 1.5 years, going on 2 years, desperate because her husband didn't want to pay child support. And she really needed the money. And she had this 7-year-old girl that was, poor girl. She thought that, her parents divorced because of her. I mean, it happens at these little ages, right? Mm-hmm. So she learns all these relationship skills from me. And she decides to explain it to her daughter. I did not give her the approval. I didn't even tell her yes or no. She didn't. So she's explaining to her daughter. It's like, oh, here it is. we have 4 elements in relationship that we're working with: water, fire, air, and earth, because it's easier to talk the same language instead of, using other words that nobody understands, right? So your daddy is an airman, okay? And she was like, what does that mean? That means that he is colder. Okay, he's cold. He's always been colder with us, with you. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. He loves you to death. It's just not the time to kiss you and hug you and buy you things. It's just not that time, but he loves you to death. Oh, the girl got it. Next time when she went to visitation with the father, said, Daddy, 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 I know who you are. I know who I am. You're an airman. I'm like, no, I'm not in the military. I'm not a pilot. What are you talking about? No. Mommy explained to me that you are an airman. What does that mean? Well, he told me that you are a little bit colder than most parents and most dads are, but that doesn't mean you don't love me to death. And it's not because of me that you guys split up, and you're still loving me and you would give your life for me. It's just, this is how you are, a little bit colder. That man started to cry.
Wow. Yeah.
The next divorce court, okay, he approached them and he said, I fired my lawyer and I quit my job. Not because I don't want to give you the $800 child support. I'm going to give you $2,000 child support because I have a better job that nobody knew on the side. I only have one condition: to see my daughter whenever I want to, because of, I don't want every other weekend or stuff like that. I'll give you $2,000. And I have to tell you, you never understood me all the years when we were married. I'm so happy you understood me now.
Wow.
From soul.
Wow. That's amazing. It's so.
A 7-year-old, and I said, what did you?
Yeah. But that's the beauty, I think, of being that age. I think at that age, we are much more. We just talk. We just say what's on our mind, and we share.
The truth is that this is how this man was: a little bit colder, a little bit detached. Everybody thought he has no feelings. Didn't mean he had no feelings. This is how he was. Okay, as a businessman, as worry about work, money. And his wife never understood that. And now, for his first time in his life, he felt understood by his wife and by his kid.
Wow. But they ended up separating.
They ended up divorcing. They get along very well, better than when they were married.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. But it doesn't matter because, it's great for the kid when they see their parents getting along, even if they're divorced. Who cares?
Yeah.
This child is not going to slip in depression, guilt, shame, humiliation, stuff like that. No, I have 2 parents and both of them love me. On the other side, the parents are fine. He takes care of his business, pays his child support.
Yeah.
She has a lot more money. She doesn't even work anymore, but she takes care of her daughter. There's a lot more money than she expected. Everything got solved out.
Yeah. See, sometimes it's better to indeed just work things out. Yeah.
Simple relationship course. And I was looking at the airman video in my course. It was 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's not even, that's great for nowadays with the short attention spans. Everybody
3 minutes. I'm like, wow, 3 minutes solved a huge divorce problem. I'm good.
Definitely. It's really exciting for me.
Yeah, it's possible. These things are possible. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this story, your story, and also your clients' stories with us. I've learned a lot. I'm going to your website.
I'm the one who never stops talking.
No, I don't mind. It's, for me, this platform is, I want to give people that space to share their stories, and also pick your mind a little bit about the story, of course, but I completely don't mind if a guest is talking more than me. I'm learning with my audience as well. And I think they will enjoy this episode with you. Do you have any closing words?
So guys, don't forget to buy a book. Tell her, okay? Because you will recognize pieces of you inside there. Okay. And for any support that you need, we have a website with everything for free. better ask Anna with one N.com. Yes. Don't make mistakes in life. You get everything you want for free. Just, wait for a question to be answered in a couple of days, okay? But don't make mistakes and harsh decisions, and don't listen to broken people that never knew how to solve a problem, and you end up in a worse situation. It's very simple.
Beautiful. I will be adding your information to the episode as well, so you can find her on the website. Ask your questions. Don't make mistakes. I'm thinking myself of questions to ask right now, to be very honest. I think that concludes our episode with Anna. Maybe it's sometime in the future would like to join us again. I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for listening to Poison Honey.
Love you guys.